as you're looking at your competency statements that you've already written, make sure that you've already decided your ideas. Think about what you want to write about. So if you go back through them and you're writing, or as we continue to go through competency statements, Tanya, are there competency statements you guys have not completed? Okay. So you want to think about what you've written about. This is what we recommend you do when you write competency statements, and I would like you guys to kind of jot these steps down because you're going to see them again as we go through the competency statements that you've 2 and 3. Okay. As you go through the competency statements and you're writing them for course credit. So we'll take what you have for the first one, we'll go through it again and just ensure that it meets the criteria for course credit. And if you have to add some things, then you'll just be adding it so that you can get your credit through us as well, okay? So we'll work it out some kind of way. So as you write your competency statements with us or for course credit, you want to make sure that you've narrowed down what it is that you're looking for. So for example, when you guys wrote the safe, healthy, and learning environment, as you were writing the safe, healthy, and safe, healthy, and learning environment competency statement, you should have been able to narrow it down and use certain particulars. So what we're looking for in competency statements as an expectation for course credit is we want to see something about your experience and your expertise. What does your experience look like? Everybody's experience in the classroom is going to be completely different. Some of you guys have worked with younger children. Some of you guys have worked with older children. Some of you guys worked with your siblings since you were, very young. So it's going to just vary from person to person. Some of you guys volunteered in maybe your church, whatever it is that your experience is. And you're also going to bring your experience about that particular competency statement to the table. So if it was safe, what is your experience with working with children around safety? What is your experience with working with families around safety? If it's the healthy component, what is your experience with working with children and families around keeping their children healthy? Keeping your children healthy when it comes to the CDA criteria is promoting health and preventing illnesses and teaching children about nutrition and practices that promote these illnesses. For the resources that you all have collected, you have your CACSP guidelines and you have your MyPlate. So that will support your healthy. So we want to see statements where you're specifying the information that you have in your resources and making a clear connection. Your expertise when it comes to learning environment. If you've set up a learning environment before, if you've prepared the learning environment, or even if you've just made the connection to the schematic in the classroom. So as you guys are doing some of your learning experiences, you'll also see that you're looking at the environment, maybe zoning out the environment a little bit, where the soft zones are, where your manipulatives are going to be located. What do you have in place for kinesthetic learners? What do you have in place as far as your auditory learners? What does that room look like? So really, really make the connection when it comes to these learning experiences, especially in that initial statement. Now, for the competency statements that you guys have completed, your initial statement, if you have not done your initial statement and broken it up into safe, healthy, and learning environment, that is going to be the assignment that I'm going to assign you. If you've already completed safe, healthy, and learning environment and have it broken down into those 3, then what I would like you to look at is your commitment to safety, your commitment to keeping children healthy, and your commitment to the learning environment. What does that learning environment look like for you, and how is it, how are you supporting that learning environment for the children and families that you serve, okay? And I'll revisit that in a second. So that's actually this week's assignment. And if you've already done it, then we'll look at these components being added into those. The next thing that you're looking at is your passion. Bringing your passion to the table. What does passion look like to you? Why do you work with the children and families that you serve? Why do you keep coming back on a day-to-day basis? So quickly, just in chat, tell me, why do you all work with the children and families that you serve? Why do you keep coming back? So if you had to quickly tell somebody, hey, I come back because. So what are the reasons that you keep doing it day after day? Everybody quickly. We don't have a lot of time. Because your passion is purpose. Perfect. So I have Tia's answer. Come on, guys. Why do you show up on a day-to-day basis? Quick 3, 4, 5 words. Love your kids and teaching. Good. Kids are important to you. Good. These are the things that define your passion. Enjoy helping the kids to learn. Have passion for the children. Good job. Because of the impact that's needed. I like that, Courtney. Absolutely. All of these are the things that passion come from. So you want to make sure that in your writing, you're showing passion. You're explaining why it is important for you to keep children safe, why it is important for you to contribute to the health, to their nutrition and their healthy and and them being healthy, and why that learning environment needs to be productive. So you want to talk about that in your statements. So when we look at healthy learning, safe, healthy, and learning environment, you want to make sure that you have that in there. For all the statements that you guys do for us for the initial statements, we would like to see these things included in each one of those statements. Step 3. Connecting what you do on a day-to-day in your learning as a lifelong learner. You want to make sure that you connect that in your writing. So if you have CPR first aid, if you've been trained on SIDS, if you've been trained on CACSP meal patterns, you want to connect the dots of your training in each one of these components, and you want to specify what that training was. Step 4, think of your commitment to the children, the commitment to the family, to your employers. So you want to start thinking about commitment and what commitment looks like. When you're in that environment, you're committed to keeping the children safe. What does that look like? Why is that a commitment for you? You're committed to contributing to the nutrition and the I can't get this out today, physical well-being of that child. Why is that important to you? Why is that a commitment? You're committed to the learning environment. What are the steps and things that you're taking to commit to that learning environment? What does your commitment look like? What does it sound like? Step 5, include your strategies. What steps do you take to ensure that children are safe? So don't just say things like, I contribute to a safe learning environment that is free of debris. Well, what does that look like? What steps are you taking to make that happen? So today when we were going through our review, there were specific steps. They had names to them. We defined different components. So that is what we want to see. We want to see your professionalism come in your words when it comes to this writing. So don't give lazy statements. Really think about your direct strategies. I wash my hands every day when I walk into the classroom. I encourage families to wash their hands. These are active steps. Strategies are going to be your active steps that you take. So in your statements, go back and look. Did you create or did you give an image of what your actual steps look like? I ensure that every child follows the 5 steps of proper hand washing. I, run the water. I make sure that it's on for 20 seconds while they're lathering. I use my towel to turn the water off. Are you following all the steps with the children? That's going to be something like your strategy. The sixth step there is going to be theory and practice. So as you're looking at best practices and the things that we're talking about as best practices, or even the things that you're responsible for in your direct program, are you able to take what those policies and procedures are and put them into practice? How do you do that, and what does that look like? So you're looking at all of these particular steps as you're revisiting your components. We ran out of time. Give me. Do you all have like 5 more minutes? I'm sorry. I kind of just threw that out there. Do you all have like 5 more minutes, or is your class over right now, Tanya? I couldn't remember. You have a little bit more time? Okay. What time is your class over with, Miss Tanya? I can't remember. My brain is not working like that these days. Okay. Oh, so right now. Okay. Can I have a little bit more of your time? Make connections to indicators and strategies. We're going to talk about what indicators look like in a second, but the strategies are going to be the steps that you're actually taking, and make sure that as we go through things, like a little while ago and I asked you guys, what does your passion look like? That's considered an indicator. As we went through our review, those are small indicators of your knowledge. Make sure that those indicators are matching your strategies and pieces are coming together. Look at your goals and look at your visions. When you start to do your writing and your professionalism of connecting all this information that's being given to you on a bi-weekly basis, you want to start to put these things together. What are your goals for the classroom? What are the goals that you have in place to ensure that children are safe, that they're healthy, that they have an active, an appropriate learning environment, etc. Your indicators will will come from your class notes. So you want to look at your notes when we started to have you guys write the initial statements or revisit certain statements. Your direct practices, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? The things that you must do, your policies, your procedures, your state mandated policies, your Head Start standards. What is it that you must do? So look at those things as indicators. Your responsiveness, how you're able to be flexible, how you're able to incorporate what you're taught into the environment, and your follow through, and your commitment and the things that you're responsible for. As you're writing your statements, make sure that you're writing based on best practices. But best practices will match Head Start standards. Best practices also, why am I? Best practices will be matched in your Head Start standards. Best practices will be matched in the things that you're trained on. If you've participated, 3:30 your time, okay. Okay, so I'm almost done. If y'all give me like maybe about 3 more minutes. I'm kind of running through it. I'll revisit it again our next class. Best practices are going to be things that even Ms. Tanya tell you in the class that you're doing with her, your NACE, all of that's going to be your best practices. Try to stay away from just this is how I was taught to do it, or I'm not changing it because this is what I saw, or culture of an environment. Stick to the best practices in your writing. Go back through all the statements that you've already done through your, through what's already been assigned by Ms. Tanya, and then what will be assigned by us, and make sure that the quality of your writing is where you want it to be and it reflects your direct professionalism. Make sure that your statements are accurate and true. Don't say, oh, I'm just a nice and bubbly teacher for all of my families and children, if it's just not true. Every teacher doesn't have to be a bubbly teacher. You could be a great teacher and not be bubbly. So make sure that what you're saying is accurate and honest. Be honest about your statements. If you know that you struggle with something, don't say this is your strong point. Be honest in it. Use this time to reflect on where you want to be, reflect on the goals that you're going to put in front of yourself, and really revisit what you're not good at. Because if you're not good at it, you want to start to pay attention so that you can build skills through this process. And most importantly, make sure that you have not copied what you've handed in and submitted. We use a program called Turned In. And we check for plagiarism. So if 80% of your words came from somewhere else, even if it was considered a sample, we're not going to accept that. So make sure that you're writing your statements as your own and they're not cookie cutter. Okay. Remember not to plagiarize. It's very, very important and a very important part of this process for it to continue to be integral. Take time to connect the dots. I'm sorry, this little thing is driving me crazy. Take time to connect the dots. Provide strategies, use examples, and personalize your statements. Make sure that you're using I statements. These are reflective statements. That means they're from you. They're different than an essay statement where we say one should not, one should, or we as an industry. These are your statements. Own those statements and make sure that you're looking at those statements and you're reflecting on them properly. And also make sure that did you answer the question. Go back through the statements to see, did you answer the question? Sometimes people do a lot of writing, but they've never answered the actual question. So really, really reflect on your statements. And this is going to be available to you guys. Be sure not to copy from the internet. We don't want that. We want to see what you have inside of you. This is your walk. This is about you directly. Do not copy and paste. Don't spend extra money to go through a site that has things that are secured just because you're not comfortable with your writing. That's what we're here for. We're going to do enhancement writing sessions with you guys. We will help you through that. Don't call your elder, your younger grandchildren, your neighbor. Don't pay people. Don't do that stuff, guys. It takes away from the integrity of our industry. If you're not comfortable with something in this industry, you need to ask questions. You are someone's teacher. Do you want them to cheat? You are now someone's pupil, and there is a such thing as teacher karma. So if you cheat or you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're going to get children who are not going to be doing what they're supposed to be doing, and more importantly, you're going to end up with parents who are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and your documentation is going to be messy. So do not put that on yourself. Be very, very, just take that extra step, okay? Do not use we statements. Don't use someone else's work and pass it off because, hey, they did this before. Don't worry, we don't look at it like that. This is an integral industry. We need to be looking at everything. And even if we don't look at everything, we depend on everyone in this classroom to do the right thing because we're teaching someone's child to do the right thing. Be sure not to plagiarize. We want your ideas in your writing. There's no right or wrong as long as it is uniquely yours. Have fun with it. And I wish you guys a lot of luck about doing this because I know that it's not always easy to do your writing, but you're going to do well in it. We're here for you. There's no worries in your own ideas. Think positive, don't give up, and contact us if you need help. Okay? That's what we're here for. Be creative in your writing. We had an elder who came through the program. She was like 65, and she used Whitney Houston's I Believe the Children Are the Future, and she wrote her philosophy statement like that. She put, I believe the children are the future, and then she wrote why she believed the children are the future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. She wrote about them and their leadership and fostering their independence. Do it however you need to. Use your own style, but get through it. Own each statement. They are your statements. Statements about health and safety, statements about professionalism, social, emotional, families, intellectual development, and program management. You guys have this inside of you. And even just today with what we did as a review for Safe and Healthy, I'm so proud of you guys and everybody who participated. And if you were the type of person that's like, okay, I just want to see, and then the next time I'll do it because it makes you feel more comfortable, that's okay too. As long as you took something out of today's process, then it's going to be helpful in your writing. So just keep giving yourself a challenge to participate, a challenge to do a little bit more next time, because this is your process. These writing statements are going to be yours, and we review those writing statements in order to give you course credit. So we definitely want you guys to own these statements. Any questions? And I think you said 3:30, so that's what time? 4:30 my time. So you all have a little bit of time. I was rushing, but I